What you're about to watch is an interview I had with Stephanie Cartin, one of the founders of Entreprenista, a community for female founders. And in this interview, I asked her all about community. What does community mean in today's marketing? How do new brands who are emerging and succeeding in today's marketplace, how do they treat their customers? And what is that relationship like? So I hope you enjoy this. It would be great for anyone in retail or working with brands who are looking to connect better with their customers.
Absolutely. So essentially, my business partner, Courtney, and I created the community that we wish we had when we were starting our first business, which was a social media agency that we started over 13 years ago now. So Courtney and I found ourselves in the early days of social media building strategies for brands. And this was, again, going back 13 years when we literally had to pound the pavement and knock on doors to convince brands that they needed to use social media for their business, right? So back then, we had never built an agency before. We were, learning social media ourselves as we were creating these strategies for brands. And what we realized was we were experts pretty early on in social media, but we weren't experts at building businesses. And we started surrounding ourselves with other groups and organizations and mentors and networking groups and leadership coaches. And we were like, wait a second, why isn't there one community that has everything that you need to be successful in business all under one platform? So, of course, we solved the problem that we wish we had when we were first starting out. And that's how the Entreprenista League initially started.
You scratched your own itch.
We
Did you
did.
know that? Did you know that all of that networking and research was going to be helpful to someone else beyond you? Or were you just thinking, we need this, we need to surround ourselves with the right people?
So what happened was, I'll take you back, if it's okay, to the early days of building our first business. And, Courtney and we had started taking on clients on the side, and we were working nights and weekends for about 10 months, just taking on clients on the side until we said, all right, this is going to be an actual business. We have to go all in and do it or not do it at all. So we quit our corporate jobs on the same day. It was May 4th of 2012, and really never looked back and grew and scaled our agency organically. And what started to happen because of the quick growth and success of Socialfly, so many women entrepreneurs were reaching out to us all the time, wanting to go out to coffee and pick our brain and just wanting to hear how we did it. And Courtney and I are the type of people that like to help literally absolutely everyone. But we also realized it was physically impossible and not scalable to go out to coffee all day, every day and run our agency. So we started thinking, how can we actually help as many people at scale as possible? So our initial solve for it wasn't actually the Entreprenista League at first. It was starting a podcast like this to share stories. And that's how we thought we'd be able to create as much impact as possible. But then when the pandemic happened in 2020, we realized that we were getting so many messages now at that point from our listeners of the podcast and our followers needing help pivoting, women who were losing jobs, wanting to start a business, and they were all reaching out to us wanting more help, but we were trying to still run our agency business. We're like, how can we help as many people, but now actually really do it at scale and give everyone what they need during this time, during the pandemic. So that's when we decided, all right, let's go all in and build Entreprenista into now what it is today, which is not just our membership community, but also a full media company for women entrepreneurs. So everything really just happened organically. Back in the early days of building Socialfly, we didn't realize at that time that every single thing that was happening, and it was like one breadcrumb would lead to the next and lead to the next. Like we didn't know it was going to lead to now what we've built over the years. But because of every single thing that we went through and every stage of business that we experienced and every networking group we joined, every mentor and business owner we worked with along the way, we ended up cultivating this incredible network and realized how instrumental not just, networking and having coaches and getting media, like every single thing is important to business, and you need to be able to have access to all of that. And really, I can share the biggest learning lesson from our 13 plus year career as entreprenistas is that the key to success in life and business is the community you surround yourself with. And that if any entrepreneur is trying to build their business by themselves at home, just listening to podcasts, like that is not enough. Like you need to be connected to people because they will be the key to every unlock that you will need in your business.
Well, a lot of them have solved that already. So you could spend months at home, trying to figure it out asking ChatGPT, how do I do this? Um,
ChatGPT,
or
very helpful,
yeah,
but they're not going to connect you to the person that you need to be connected with.
yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
Uh, but what kind of companies are joining? Like what these are founders of do they have products? Are they services, SaaS companies?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty split. So in our Entreprenista community, it's about 50% of our members do have service-based businesses, and the other half of our members have all other types of businesses. So product companies, CPG brands, food companies, party companies, tech companies, nonprofits, like every single type of business that you can think of is inside our Entreprenista community and at all stages of business too. And that's also been just another big unlock for the community itself is it's not just founders that are at one stage of business with one type of product. Like the benefit for our members is, we have tons of CPG and e-commerce founders that need the services of a lot of our members who have incredible service-based businesses and vice versa. We have members in our community like Michelle Sau. She helps our founders. She's at a service-based business helping our founders get into retail product-based businesses because that was her experience. That's what she did in her full-time job. She left to start her business and now she's helping everyone get into retail. So everyone's able to collaborate and work with each other, hire each other, partner together, form strategic partnerships together. It's just been this beautiful like melting pot of everyone coming together to support and work with each other.
Well, I could see how that would be helpful. I mean, I've started a few things myself, and the ones that failed usually were the ones who uh, I didn't reach out. I felt like I had to make it good enough to present to the world, and then at that point, then I'll be okay telling people about this startup.
Yeah, you got to start before you're ready and start talking to people too because again, like if you try to build in a silo, you're not going to get very far. You can talk to someone who's already been there and done that and can give you advice and make connections and introductions for you and I see so often, especially in the beginning when founders like don't have experience and they don't realize like it's okay for things not to be done. Like everyone has to start somewhere and everyone was also in your shoes at one point too. And most people I have seen and experienced are genuinely good people. Not everyone, but most people are genuinely good people. So when you surround yourself, and everyone inside our community is great people, right? When you surround yourself with really wonderful people who are genuinely supportive and want to share and want to give back and want to help, like there is enough business and opportunity for absolutely everyone, but you can't like keep everything to yourself, right? You have to share, and people aren't mind readers. You have to ask for what you want. You can't get things in life or business if you don't ask for them.
You see that now with a lot of content based marketing. It's like
Mhm.
they're sharing the sauce, and it's really comes down to execution. Who's going to actually do it, commit to it?
100%.
Nothing's easy, right? You're going to have to commit to it. So they can share all the how to and all the advice you want, but it's still only going to be 10% of the people out there are going to implement it.
Absolutely. Everything is about execution. You can have all the best ideas in the world. People share ideas all the time, right? But there's a reason only certain people are building these successful, scalable businesses because you've got to go all in and execute. And if you're not the executor, you've got to build the right team to execute and make it happen. And it's basically like survival of the fittest who can stay in business long enough and is resilient enough to go through all the ups and downs. But business is so much easier and so much more fun when you have a community and a support system and people who are really going to be there for you and cheer you on. And when you have that mindset that, and I say this all the time, like everything's figure outable, there's answers for everything. You just have to ask the right people or ask the right questions to ChatGPT to get the right answers.
Yeah, you got to be a good prompt
Yes.
engineer. Sometimes you have to prompt your friends.
Yes.
Um, I want to dive in a little bit into um, specifically the retail, the commerce side. So the product based businesses that you're working with. There's this trend, it seems, that media and PR is kind of coming back, like the founder story, their media presence. When I don't know if it always was the case.
Yes. And we've created a whole community around this, right? So One of the keys to our success, mine and Courtney's, as we were building Socialfly, was putting ourselves out there as thought leaders, as social media experts, speaking at events, getting on TV, being in the press, being commentators on social media. Because at the end of the day, people love to do business with people they know, love, and trust, right? If you are connected to someone and you have that emotional connection to their story, maybe not just their business story, but like what's going on in their life too, and you feel connected to them, you're more likely to want to hire them, buy their products. So a lot of times now, especially with our product-based founders, we'll recommend to them like show the process of building your product behind the scenes. Take your community and potential customers along for a ride, because I'll tell you, the second you launch your product, you're going to have a line of people that are putting in their order, even pre-orders, ready to buy from you because they want to support you. And that's ultimately, what people care about. And when you look at social media today, people know when they're getting, I put this in quotes, like sold to, right? But when you're storytelling and you're taking people along for the ride, that's different. Like you feel connected to that brand, to that product. So I'll give you an example of this. One of our members, her name is Rachel Huntington. She's the founder of a company called Bonjour Fete. It's a high-end party line. They had physical stores in California, but now since the fires, they don't have their store anymore, and everything is online. But they had worked on a deal for it took 2 years, the past 2 years, to get into Target with one specific line for graduation, right? She was not using social media personally. She was using it specifically for the brand for Bonjour Fed on Instagram. But over the past year, she started her Instagram account. She started, putting herself out there, talking about what was going on in her business. So much has happened, obviously, over the past year, especially with, the fires, with tariffs now, with everything, happening in the world. And as a product based business, your customers care about you. And when you have that personal connection, you want to support that founder and you want to buy products from them and not just like go on Amazon, right? And buy from any vendor. You want to buy from people that you care about. So Rachel, her new line just came out in Target a couple of weeks ago. And everyone's out there going to buy this product, right? Because she took people along for the ride with her, and everyone was so excited for her when this actually launched in Target. So it's like a perfect case study of how these founder led brands can really move the needle and help them not just get their business out there, but actually get their story out there as well. Because those are also the stories that the media wants to tell as well.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to tell about the features of a new widget.
Exactly.
They want to tell about the story. And especially, you mentioned a California-based business dealing with fires and everything. Why do you think she didn't want to put herself out there on her personal profile?
Generally speaking, a lot of the founders that I speak to are like, do I even have a story to tell? What do I even talk about? What do I share? How do I show up on camera? What type of content do I put out there? Are people actually going to find me interesting? Is this even important, right? These are the questions that like go through founders' heads all the time, especially when the majority of us like aren't marketers, right? Courtney and I had the advantage, right? We created a marketing agency. This was our like bread and butter and what we were used to doing. But a lot of times when you're starting a business, like you've created a business to solve a problem, like you don't realize you also now have to go be a marketing expert and business influencer, basically. So it can be really intimidating. And something that we do inside our Entreprenista community all the time, like one, I host office hours every month for our community. So I'm like, come to my Zoom office hours, ask me any questions, like we'll get through this together and help make a plan. But we also bring in experts from PR experts, people who are in the media to come talk to members of our community about like what they're looking for, what type of content they're looking for to showcase. But it's hard. It takes time, right? I'm someone who has, been in the social media world and the media influencer world for years. And me too, like I struggle to post. I'm like, okay, I have to make sure I take the time to do this because I know that it's important and that when I do share, it does provide value to other people. But when you're busy running a business and someone in a product-based business, you're dealing with, tariffs and fires and manufacturing. It's like, you have to take the time to stop and post and share. But there are, of course, now with AI tools and bringing on other freelancers or interns or batching content, there are other ways to do things in a more streamlined way. But you have to make the commitment that it's something you want to do and you want to invest in. But it's not easy.
So this conversation got me thinking about introverts versus extroverts. Can you be an introvert and still be one of these founders who are successful? Because it sounds like you have to be making content. You have to show your process, show behind the scenes. And some people just are shy about doing that. So I wanted to ask Stephanie more about this introvert versus extrovert. And can you be successful if you aren't an outwardly expressive person?
People don't believe me when I'm like, I'm actually very introverted. I prefer, I love this, like one-to-one conversations like this and being in my house here, but like put me, and look, I can get on a stage and talk in front of hundreds of people, but it's like being in groups where it's like if tons of people are coming up to you and talking, like I like having like private one-on-one intimate conversations, and it can be so overwhelming. And it's also really hard. It's not easy to get on camera and talk to camera. It is, unless you're just like a natural at it. For most people, I've been doing this for years, it's still so strange to hold your phone up and talk to camera. So you have to like almost make this mindset of like, okay, I am creating this content to provide value to other people. And I know by me sharing this content, if I was not to share this content and this could have been something to help someone else, I've now stopped someone else from learning what I had to help them with and share. So it's like this mindset shift of like just making yourself do it because it is going to help other people and it will provide value to your business. Again, building your personal brand around your business and taking your customers along for the ride is how these brands are launching. They're building community first. It's exactly what we did at Entreprenista, right? We started as a podcast, creating awesome content and creating this engaged community genuinely from like, we just wanted to create this content to help everyone because everyone was reaching out for help. And then it evolved into an actual business and our membership community now because we built community first and we built for the community that we created. And I'm just seeing, and I recommend to brands all the time, it's like you need to create a real authentic community and that connection and one-on-one connection to your customers. And there's so much opportunity to do that and to do it really well now.
Yeah. Do you think there's room for companies to grow without that?
I think the answer is it depends, right? It depends on the type of product. You either need to have a big advertising budget to reach a lot of people, or you need to start by building an authentic, engaged community. And it starts with that, you have to do things that are unscalable in the beginning that can eventually become scalable. Like you have to start with that one-to-one customer conversation.
Yeah. Do you have to be an extrovert to be building a founder-led brand?
I don't think so. I do not think you have to be an extrovert, but you have to be willing to ask questions. You can't be afraid to like reach out and talk to people. I've definitely come out of my shell so much more than I, was when we first started our first business. But a lot of that comes with confidence and practice. Like when we first started our podcast, I was so nervous to host our podcast. Now I'm like, I could close my eyes and do it, but it's like riding a bike. You just start doing it and it's a little bit at a time and everything just gets easier. So this got me thinking about connection and how we all want connection. And there's this gap when we don't get it. And Stephanie talked about some ways that brands are reaching out directly to their customers, including them in their own communities, and even using technology to achieve this one-on-one communication with thousands and thousands of customers. And so this is where it got really interesting to me. They're connecting, like they're forming one-to-one connections with people. And one of the ways that I see brands doing a really great job at this is like literally DMing on Instagram with your followers. It's like I see a lot of times I would see so many brands like, we just want to grow our audience. We want numbers. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you have 100,000 or a million followers, if you're not actually talking to them and having conversations. And a DM, like I see people get so excited when a brand DMs them like, hey, how's your day? We're like, would love to connect with you. Love to send you some granola or a t-shirt or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, they reached out to me. They noticed me. They liked my post and then my comment and then send me a DM. Like people are just craving connection. I love it. But I'm like, when Facebook first came out and it's all like
You could post on people's walls, you could poke them, but their brands weren't engaging there.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
it's just a different story.
So what I see right now with Meta, right, with Facebook and Instagram ads still can outperform any platform in terms of the costs and the results. But the actual conversations and what's happening on Facebook in terms of like a Facebook strategy, Facebook groups, like there's a lot of opportunity actually with Facebook groups for brands. I've seen some brands like crush it building these VIP groups for their brands on Facebook. Um, but just Facebook in general, like it's the, 45 to 65 market on
Mhm.
Facebook. But if you want to reach that customer, they're there. And if you want to run ads to target them, like I would still do that all day long. It really depends who you're looking to reach. If you're looking to reach, Gen Z, I wouldn't be spending my budget on Facebook ads right now.
Do you think that there's a gap in understanding between like founder-led and more of a corporate structure of an organization?
So, I mean, what I see happening all the time is founders start these brands and these larger companies acquire them because they can't move as fast. It's because these larger companies don't have that connection to audiences because they're not founder led. They're a corporation that takes a long time to get things done as well. So, I see these big companies acquiring these. I don't even want to call them smaller brands, but these founder led brands because they have real audience and community. And look, the goal is to build a business that is not dependent on you,
Yeah,
right? So
that's the hard part.
or you don't have a sellable, scalable business, right?
Yeah.
So you need to, I think in the early days especially, can you build a business around your story to get that early traction? Sure. And build that audience, but you do have to be sure that the business can still run without you, or that's going to be a problem if and when you do want to sell the business, have someone take over the business, whatever that may be. So that is something to like, you don't want the whole business to be dependent on you. Now, can you still sell a company, still be the face of the brand and sell the company and get a contract with whoever you sell to that you're still going to be the face of the company? Sure. Anything is possible. And I always say everything's figure outable, but you should have a plan. But I do see these larger companies that are they're not they're not taking into consideration the actual connection that the founder really has to the customers. And if you just like squash that right away once you acquire a company, you can have a lot of problems.
Last question, just what should people from the retail side of things be looking at? What can they learn from following along?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for retail brands right now is how can you get your products in front of real engaged communities and build a community of your own for your business, because those are the brands that will have longevity and survive.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. This has been great.
Thank you.
If you love this content and you want to learn more from Stephanie, she's actually designed a community called Entreprenista. It's for women entrepreneurs, and she extended a special offer to the RetailWire audience. So we'll give you that link. So when you join, it gets you a big discount off of the entry price, and it is a lifetime membership. So there's a lot of value, and it's a growing community of over 2,500 women entrepreneurs. So it's designed to give you everything you need in terms of resources and personal support to succeed in business. And we will include the code and the link to all that in the description of the video. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.